Saturday, April 5th, 2025, Aylar was supposed to join the other kids and head to the village school after 17 or 18 days of vacation. But the last days of the holidays for the people of Sarkak Sanjabi village, Aylar's birthplace and home, were among the darkest and most bitter days. Because the village elementary school had lost one of its good students, and Aylar Zaherpour was supposed to head to the village cemetery on Saturday morning and stay there forever. There was no news of an accident or incident. A bitter crime had occurred. The killer aimed the barrel of his old shotgun at 12-year-old Aylar and ruthlessly fired so that the village teacher could write for her. "Dear Aylar, my sweet girl, your seat will be empty in class tomorrow." Hello friends, welcome to the Confession channel. You are watching and listening to another case from our series of videos. The painful case of Aylar Zaherpour's murder. If you are interested in confession reports from criminal cases, we would be delighted. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell next to it so you don't miss new videos. The case of this painful crime was opened on the 14th of Farvard in 1404 in a small village near Islamabad Garb, Kermanshah. And Aylar Zaherpour, a 12-year-old girl, was murdered with 2 direct gunshots to her chest and head. The condition of the body indicated that the murder was not accidental or the result of an incident. The vengeful killer fired the first bullet into the frail little girl's chest, and to ensure her death, aimed the gun at her head and fired a second time. To grasp the depth of this tragedy, you should know that this horrific crime was committed with a very old model of a Berno rifle. A weapon that is still commonly found in rural and nomadic areas of the western part of the country and is only capable of a single shot. This means the killer loaded his Berno rifle, fired the first bullet, and when 12-year-old Aylar fell to the ground and was moaning, he loaded another bullet into his weapon and this time aimed at her head to finish Aylar off. The ruthless killer's hand didn't even tremble. The one who fell at his feet and is dying is just a 12-year-old girl. The one who committed this brutal crime was none other than Aylar Zaherpour, Aylar's father, the same person whose name they proudly wrote at the top of Aylar's announcement. A colorful announcement, with candle and flower designs around it, and of course the picture of a cute little girl named Aylar Zaherpour, described as a withered flower. The method has been imprinted with the news of the funeral and burial of this little girl on the 16th of Farvardan. That is, the same day Aylar was supposed to walk to school with the other village children on her own feet. But now her frail body is placed on the mortuary table and carried by the village men to the cemetery. But why? I must say because this innocent child became a victim of her father's grudge against his former wife. The name of the vengeful killer who brutally and mercilessly killed his daughter was written in the first line of the announcement. The dear child of Mr. Aylar Zaherpour. To trace the roots and narrate the cause and reason for this bitter crime, we must go back to a few months before the crime, where Aylar's mother and father, after long periods of fighting and conflict, ended up getting a divorce. Of course, Aylar was not willing to divorce his wife, because he considered it a blow to his own dignity to divorce his wife in that small village and become the subject of gossip, with people saying he couldn't keep his wife. Moreover, he suspected that if one day his wife remarried, it would really upset him. But the last time their case went to court for a divorce ruling, Aylar's consent was no longer needed, because he had beaten his wife so badly that she might not have survived. Aylar's mother filed a complaint and sent her to the forensic doctor, and her condition was so severe that they gave her a 1-month recovery period. Under Aylar's beatings, the woman's hand was broken and her skull was fractured. This was not the first time as Aylar had a history of beating his wife, and they had previously ended up in court and filed complaints. But the last time, they had taken a commitment from him that if he hit his wife again, the judge would rule in favor of his wife, and there would be no need for his consent for the divorce to proceed. Aylar's mother's only concern about the separation was her children, and she wanted to return to her life for the sake of her children. But the family court counselor advises her to get a divorce to save her life and then pursue custody of her children. And that's exactly what happens. She gets divorced and the children stay with their father. Kiumars, who felt like a loser, saw the children as the only way he could bother his ex-wife. Despite the court ruling that the mother can see the children once a week, he locks the children in the house and threatens his ex-wife that if she comes near his home, he will harm himself and the children. These threats scare Aylar's mother and cause her to distance herself a bit from her children, Aylar and Arash. But the children wanted their mother, and it was natural for them to start a new argument and fight with Kiumars every day to convince him to let them go to their mother. The commotion and conflicts continued in that rural house, and on the evening of the 5th day their voices rose, and if the neighbors understand that, as usual, there has been a fight in that house. One of the neighbors, who was the first to arrive at the murder scene and witnessed part of the crime, said that Kiumars and his daughter often fought, and each time the fight was about Aylar wanting to go see her mother, but Kiumars wouldn't allow it. That day too, their noise got loud and we could only watch. After all, we couldn't intervene every time the father and daughter fought. That day we could only hear their voices. Kiumars was very angry and was shouting, "I'll leave you with a burning heart." Suddenly we heard Aylin's screams, and then we heard a gunshot. That's when we couldn't take it anymore and ran towards Kiumars's house, and before we could get inside we heard a second gunshot. Aylin was lying on the ground covered in blood, and when Kiumars saw us crying, he reloaded his gun. We were scared and thought he was going to shoot us, but he pointed the barrel of the gun at himself and fired. Only minutes after Aylin's murder, her mother arrived at the crime scene and realized the tragedy that had befallen her and that her daughter had been killed. Apparently, the story goes that about half an hour before the murder, Aylin called her mother, and while she was talking to her, her father showed up and they started arguing. This time, the argument became very serious, and while her mother was listening on the other end of the line, Aylin threatened her father that if he didn't let her go to her mother, she would set herself on fire. It was at this point that Kiumars lost his temper and pulled out the old hunting rifle he used to go hunting with from his trunk, threatening Aylin to silence her. When Aylin didn't back down, he fired the first shot at her. In the first couple of hours after the murder, he told his brother that when he saw Aylin lying on the ground dying, he realized it was over for her and fired the second bullet to her head so that his daughter would be relieved sooner and suffer less. The neighbors entered the house after the second shot, when Aylin was lying on the ground covered in blood. They saw that Kiumars had loaded another bullet into the old rifle and this time aimed it at himself. Aylin was killed instantly, but Kiumars, whose spleen was ruptured by the bullet, was taken to the hospital in critical condition. He was conscious for a few hours and then went into a coma due to severe bleeding. Aylin was buried on the morning of Saturday, April 5th, 2025, and her father, Kiumars Zahapur, only survived for 3 more days. And on the morning of Sunday, April 6th, the news came that Kiumars had also died in the hospital bed, effectively closing the case of the murder of this 12-year-old girl. Thank you for staying with us until this moment. Please share your valuable comments and feedback with us at the bottom of this page, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, support us and our activities by subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Man.
Don't you have any plans for the day?